But we can't let one bad season make us think, oh, the rookie is chalk. Like, the film was the film, the player was the player, the athlete is the athlete. There's a lot of very, very good stuff in Marvin Harrison right now. It just, sometimes it's not as easy as Brian Thomas Jr. is the only receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to scheme the entire thing up for him, and also, right, he runs it's 4-4 time. And so patience on Marvin Harrison, I think, is worthy.
Love being out here at Radio Row here at PHNX Sports. Johnny Venerable, Bo Brock, Benjamin Solak, ESPN.com, and of course the Mina Kimes podcast featuring Lenny and Ben. What's going on, my man?
It's Super Bowl week, man. You can't complain. New Orleans is a lot of fun. It's a good environment. Yeah, we're having a blast.
Is there anybody better dressed than Ben?
It's my one good day. I got one tie, I got one shirt.
Great.
If I got to be on TV again tomorrow, it's a problem.
The pocket squares, elite.
He always blows me grief because I try to dress nice, and it's because when I go up to people, I don't want people to think like I'm like a high school kid, like I'm a short high school kid. He doesn't understand that.
Exactly, with the clean-shaven men, all right? We can't. Everybody thinks I'm a child, exactly. And so if I wear a suit, then I'm a well-dressed
That's
child.
right. That's exactly
and that's
right.
a little bit more respectable. I'm with you 100%.
Bo doesn't understand.
You get.
It's like, oh, I got my beard.
These tall people are the privilege. They don't know.
Yeah, sweatshirt. All right. So speaking of people who are in attendance states, it's a little bit frustrating, Ben.
I thought you were going to do people who are short and do Kyler, and I was like, that's crazy. But no, you're professional. That's nice. Yeah.
That's quite a segue. So we're here. Malik Nabers is here. Roma Dunze is here. I haven't seen Brian Thomas Jr. You know who's not here? Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
What have we done to Marvin Harrison Jr. and his, not his ego, but his confidence, like going into next year? Like, what was your overall assessment of his year? Because the way people are talking about him, like, he can't play. Mm-hmm. They should have taken Brian Thomas Jr. when that was never happening, which is ridiculous. But your assessment on the 4th overall pick?
Yeah. So I think firstly we have to recalibrate. So we've had a lot of young receivers come out. And, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they have a 1,400-yard rookie season, right? Catch 100 passes. We've had some unbelievable immediate rookie seasons from receivers, such that it feels like when Marvin Harrison has 800 yards about or whatever. Yeah. Oh, what an utter failure. That's a fine season for a young receiver to have, especially in an offense where I don't really think they exactly figured out how they wanted to use Marvin Harrison Jr. I think a lot of the theory was that, this guy's going to save Kyler on some of our broken plays, and he's going to, we'll scheme everything up, and if they beat us in the scheme, we'll have a one-on-one on the outside, and he'll just win over the roof for us. And they needed to move him around a little bit more. They needed to give him a variety of routes. The beauty of Harrison at Ohio State was always that 6'4" guy was that smooth of a route runner. He was that good of a releaser. And when you, I think, silo him into a T. Higgins role, where he's just winning a lot over the rim, you're not getting enough juice for the squeeze of the guy that you took with that top 5 pick. With that said, there were definitely times where I felt Marvin was not mentally 100% there and was maybe frustrated with his role and frustrated with the route tree, and that led to some plays where you're like, all right, I've seen you be better, I've seen you be faster, I've seen you be stronger at the catch point. And so there's work to be done there between Drew Petzing, between John Gannon, between Kyler Murray, and between Marvin Harrison. But we can't let one bad season make us think, oh, the rookie is chalk. Like, the film was the film, the player was the player, the athlete is the athlete. There's a lot of very, very good stuff in Marvin Harrison right now. It just, sometimes it's not as easy as Brian Thomas Jr. is the only receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to scheme the entire thing up for him, and also, right, he runs it's 4-4 time. And so patience on Marvin Harrison, I think, is worthy. Yeah.
Not spamming him the football like Malik Nabers was in New York. I mean,
it's also one of the tricky things about having a guy like Trey McBride. When you want to run a passing game through a tight end, it's a lot harder than it looks. Travis Kelce makes it look easy. It's difficult. And so they run a very tricky offense there in Arizona. It's hard to handle all the moving pieces they want to handle.
Well, your colleague Mina Kimes, when she joined us throughout the season, like, one of her big sticking points with this Cardinals offense is like they run these 12, 13 personnel packages almost to a fault, right? Like they didn't change who they were offensively, even though they were gifted this 4th overall pick wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Did you see similar things, and where do they need to go next season to really kind of maximize MHJ?
Yeah, so I think that the investment in the running game was such an exciting thing at the end of last year, right? They played that Eagles game, they walked out all the multiple tight end stuff. James Conner looked great, and it was like, wow, the Cardinals do unique stuff with these multiple tight end sets. They put a unique stress on you. Like, this is going to be a cool building block for the offense. It's a lot of investment in terms of personnel in the running game, especially when you already have a running quarterback who's supposed to make it easier to do that investment, right? I like both Elijah Higgins and Tip Ryman. I think Ryman as well, especially, came along over the course of the year. That's 2 bodies that you're just kind of...
It's an overdraft. Can we talk about
top 100?
You can't take a blocking tight end when you have Trey and Elijah Higgins with the top 9 you pick.
Right.
Can we agree on that?
So that's my thing, right? Exactly. It's when you have both those players on the field. I do like the cameraman immediately flipped him. He knew I said Ryman already.
It's a bit on our show.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is when you have Ryman, who I think was not ready as a pass catcher. When you have Elijah Higgins, you have 2 guys on the field who just, they don't worry me very much if you go play action pass, right? I can index a lot to McBride and a lot to Marvin Harrison, and all right, if you beat me with Elijah Higgins, you beat me with Elijah Higgins. I don't fear that enough. And so now you want to be able to get, all right, a Michael Wilson on the field a little bit more. Maybe Greg Dortch could be a good wide receiver 3 for you. And then the running game loses its creativity and it loses its efficacy. So they had a lot of difficulty marrying the 12 and 13 stuff to the passing game because they couldn't get to good play action pass. So you probably have to move to more 12 and 11, incorporate Michael Wilson more as a blocker, and have a more married offense, have a more cohesive offense. But it's tough because of how good that running game was in 12-13. It's a lot of work for Drew Petzing. They got stuff to figure out.
ESPN ranked the Cardinals defense coming into last year last, fantasy-wise. Not you, but fantasy-wise. They overachieved based on their personality. I think they were 15th in points per game. That being said, pass rush, atrocious, I think would be a word that I would use.
The BJ injury hurt.
Yeah, and David Collins leading the team with 5 sacks. How would you fix this unit? Because they got a lot of money to spend. They've got draft capital. I'm watching Josh Sweat, and his box score is not jumping out to me. Right? And then Myles Garrett trades mixed in. Maybe you go and get a Hassan Reddick and a draft pick. Like, what would you do to attack that unit?
The eagle to watch is not Josh Sweat's Milton Williams. That's from the guys that Jonathan Gannon used to work with here. They drafted Milton out of Louisiana Tech. Is a bit of a tweener, right? Played some 2-gap and stuff. And when Gannon was here, they were just all 4-man front, 5-man front, whatever. And Milton was starting to be using a little bit of that role, but he has really grown as a very, very good pass rushing defensive tackle. They put him and Carter on the field at the same time. I promise you, watch 93. This is a high impact player. He's going to make $14-16 million. If he has a good game on Sunday, it's going to be more. And so Milton Williams, to me, he's the guy over Josh Sweat I'd be pursuing. He's the sort of dude who makes sense with a Darius Robinson, because now you have multiple guys who can play multiple spots, and you can be extremely multiple in who you line up where. So I think Milton's the guy that you look for in free agency. It is not a great edge rushing class in free agency. I think if Khalil Mack makes it to it and you want to do Khalil Mack for a couple of years to get that impact, you can go for it. I'd be interested to see BJ because I thought he came on great in his rookie season and see if he comes back from the injury. So Milton's the guy that I would look to add. Reddick, I think, would be impactful.
Yeah, what's your take on Reddick?
So Reddick,
what happened this year? Was he in football purgatory isolation with the Jets?
I mean, like Sauce Gardner wasn't good this year for the Jets. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody
That's
mentally,
right.
yeah. So with Hassan, I think the offseason drama into not being into football shape, into it's an interim head coach, into we've already missed the playoffs, is just there's not a lot of juice here. Hassan Reddick, when he was successful, right, the 10 sacks, 16 sacks, put him in a 4-down front, line him up super wide, sprint, right? It's a very specific role. And so if you can get Reddick, for cheap as a loner, and you're just playing him 40% of the snaps, 45% of the snaps on clear pass rush downs, that's more juice than you're going to get from a Zaven Collins. And so Reddick is an intuitive add. This pass rush is not a 1-year fix. This pass rush is a multiple-year fix because they just don't have a lot of talent right now in the roster.
We won't use you too much longer for Johnny to win our debate.
I didn't realize how deep I was going to be, the judge, the adjudicator on a lot of it.
And you know what? When Mina comes on our show, it's the exact same way, and Bo's the third wheel.
Let me ask the last question as far as Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Continues to be a polarizing figure as far as the fan base. Had a great 10-week start to the season and then kind of fell off post-bye. Can the Cardinals go where they want to go? Can they make a deep playoff run with Kyler Murray as their quarterback?
I think they can. The Kyler success in the beginning of the season, the numbers were so funny. He was the best quarterback in the league when pressured. Number 1 in EPA per dropback. He was top 5 in success rate. When pressure happened, Kyler had the solutions. Play outside of structure, make throws down the field, scramble. Unpressured, which to me is the structure of the offense. That's Petzing, that's the receiver play. They were 28th, 32nd, right? And that was that first half of the year, and you're saying, all right, I know what regression looks like. I know what it smells. It smells exactly like this. Play under pressure, very unstable, right? It's either a 40-yard completion or a sack. Play with no pressure. That's your base offense. That's your stable offense, and this is not working for the Cardinals. So to me, that good start to the season was a lot of what Kyler can bring you when you lose in structure, when you play good defense, when he needs to create. It's now the responsibility of the coaching staff and the ancillary pieces to catch up to and provide a good base offense for him, so that you don't need to live on all these pressured downs, right? You think you saw that in the second half of the season. Teams started to realize, we don't need to blitz this team, right? We don't need to get after. We just need to wait for them to make their mistakes, have their drops, have their failed runs. We'll just kind of sit back and let this go. And so, to me, Kyler, I think he has that skill. I think everybody else has got to catch up to him.
So you don't feel like this is a situation where I see a lot of it right now, where folks are just suggesting, time for a divorce. Jonathan Gannon, let he and Monty House pick their own quarterback, let Kyler get a fresh start elsewhere. Are you not in that camp?
Not yet. If they did it, if I check my phone after this and they moved on from Kyler, I would understand it. It's defensible, right? The NFL is a very short-term league. It stands for not for long. So sometimes you run out of rope with a guy, and when this is a guy that you put a video game homework clause in his contract, I could see the Cardinals being at the end of the rope with the guy, right? Sometimes a split is good for everybody. It is the move. However, I think we talk about deep playoff runs like Bo asked. people don't realize that there are more quarterbacks you think that can make deep playoff runs. I was here last year watching Brock Purdy do availability. Like, Kyler clears the bar for that. And if you move on from the guy, you have to be ready with a quick succession plan.
Unbelievable insight from our guy Benjamin Solak. Make sure you're following him on Twitter, reading his work, ESPN.com. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Bob.